It's 11:30 a.m. and this is MX24 News coming to you live from the Silicon Square here at East Legon in Accra. My name is Godwin Nambo. Now today in the news, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari breaks his silence on the End Sars protest, urging his colleague African leaders to seek facts before commenting. Transfer of vote and proxy appointment exercise for the December 7 elections ends today. We'll be going to some of the centers to bring you up to speed on the process so far. Also coming up, former President John Mahama has promised to grant amnesty to jailed Galamsey operators. We'll be getting into the political and environmental implications of that on the news. All these and more coming up shortly. Stick and stay. And now some more details. Now, President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, has finally broken his silence on the End Sars protest, which turned bloody on Tuesday. Protests have been ongoing across the country for 2 weeks against claims of widespread kidnapping, harassment and extortion by a police unit known as the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, Sars. On Tuesday, the Nigerian army reportedly fired live rounds into a crowd of unarmed protesters, killing dozens and injuring many more. Following this, many Nigerians home and abroad took to social media to lament President Buhari's continuous silence. On Thursday, he addressed the nation, and this is what he had to say.
The promptness with which we have acted seemed to have been misconstrued as a sign of weakness and twisted by some for their selfish, unpatriotic interests. I am indeed deeply pained that innocent lives have been lost. These tragedies are uncalled for and unnecessary. Certainly, there is no way whatsoever to connect these bad acts to legitimate expression of grievance of the youth of our country. The spreading of deliberate falsehood and misinformation through the social media in particular, that this government is oblivious to the pains and plight of the citizens is a ploy to mislead the unwary within and outside Nigeria into unfair judgment and disruptive behavior. To our neighbors in particular, and members of the international community, many of whom have expressed concern about the ongoing development in Nigeria, we thank you and urge you all to seek to know all the facts available before taking a position or rushing to judgment and making hasty pronouncements.
Nigerian President Buhari addressing the nation. Let's cross over to Nigeria now and speak to Olalekan Adepoju. We've been speaking to him since the said shooting took place at Lekki Tollbooth Plaza on Tuesday night. Olalekan, thank you for joining us. Now, what can you tell us? How are Nigerians receiving this news from the president?
I can tell you, thank you again for having me. I can tell you categorically that Nigerians are not taking it quite easy. It's been a sad day for Nigerians. It was a sad night after the message to social media again to express about the message that the president has sent to the public, which didn't cover the deaths at the toll gate. He wasn't sympathetic about the situation. All he was concerned about was, and clearly from his message, is that he doesn't want us on the street anymore, and that it's none of anybody else's business from the international bodies whatsoever, from any international bodies whatsoever. And the message is well received, but we also made it clear on social media that we're not giving up yet. If we don't do this now, we don't know when else we'll be able to do this. So what we're going to do is definitely going to re-strategize and come back even harder.
Re-strategize, you say. Now, that begs my next question. what is the situation on the ground now for these protesters? Are they still on the street, or now they are more relaxed and looking for better ways to come back?
Well, specifically for Lagos, because of the curfew and because we don't want to be seen as disobedient citizens in any way whatsoever. So all of us are currently still observing the curfew, but we are still protesting very, very hardly online. We are sharing our grievances, and one way we've been able to do that over the years, and we're still being able to do that, is by making fun of the situation in a way, because this has affected a lot of people's mental health, including mine, all over the country. So one way we've been able to do that is just kind of joke about it for a minute, but behind our backs, in our head, we know that this is the reality that we are in. We know the reality that we're in, and we're just trying to get over the situation because of the pain, the hurt, and everything. But at the same time, we're thinking of what is the way forward. What are we going to do now? What's the next thing to do? We're sharing ideas. We're going into DMs. We're chatting on WhatsApp. We have group chats. We're talking about what is going to happen next. What next are we coming out with? What else are we going to do? And one thing is constant. The next election is definitely going to be a defining factor for Nigeria. The way I say it, it's going to be heavily bent on what's going to happen during the next election. More youth are clamoring for getting your PVC. More youth are clamoring for let's get involved in political leadership. Let's get involved with adequate representation of youth within the parliament, within the legislation, and all of that.
All right, if you could hold on for me, Olalekun, let me speak quickly with Dr. Vladimir Ejindaso, who is an international relations expert, also joining us on the line. Doc, good morning, and thank you for joining us. Dr. Danso, can you hear me, please? Hello, Doc.
Hello.
Yes, Doc, good morning, and thank you for joining us on MX24 News. Now, Doc, do you feel vindicated by the comments of the Nigerian president, urging his colleagues in other African countries and across the world to be circumspect?
Hello?
Doc, good morning. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes, Doc, you have been, you've added your voice. Unlike many people online, you have said that you wish that the president of Ghana, who is the chairman of ECOWAS, and other leaders will not be swift in commenting on what's going on in Nigeria. And I'm asking now if you feel vindicated by the comments of the Nigerian president, urging his colleagues to be circumspect.
Let me correct an impression, a wrong impression you are giving. I didn't say that our president didn't have any right to comment. What I said was that in international relations, you don't do that. And that you use quiet diplomacy first. And I was vindicated when, in the evening of the same period, our president said he had called Buhari first. So let's get that wrong impression corrected. I didn't say he shouldn't talk at all. I said he would talk at the appropriate time. Now, yes, the Nigerian president is asking the international community to be very circumspect before they hello?
Yes, Doc, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. Before they make comments. And that is exactly what is done in diplomacy. You just don't argue, insult, just like President Trump just quickly said, Hong Kong, what is happening there, it's non-democracy, it's bad, blah, 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 blah. It adds into the whole situation, exacerbated the situation. People went on to destroy a number of things, and the Chinese reacted with more vigorous aggression against the demonstrants. Now, Trump called that one against democracy. When it was in his own backyard, he said it was terrorism. So in international relations, you just don't get up and insult your colleague when you don't know the facts. And that's what our president did very well. So by calling the president of President Buhari first and finding out the facts before calling for calm and things like that. So Buhari is very right. When you do that, you are interfering in the internal affairs of a state. The state has a constitution, it has institutions. The constitution and the institutions must be made to be working. So all you can do is to help by bringing the whole situation down, rather than condemning and measuring them by whatever standards you affect.
So, Doc, lastly, would you therefore say that Akufo-Addo's comments came in at the right time, because the Nigerian president is still saying that he wished his colleagues will not comment, you know, without knowing all the facts?
Hello?
Yes, Doc.
I didn't hear the question.
Doc, I'm asking, would you therefore say that President Akufo-Addo's comments then came in at the right time, because the Nigerian president is still cautioning his colleagues to be circumspect in, you know, what they share online and what they say? Would you have rather President Akufo-Addo did not say anything at all until the president of Nigeria spoke?
I hope you didn't understand me. I think in international relations, you can't think that. Serious. In general, you have your rules and regulations. In international relations, you have all the rules and regulations, protocols that you have to obey. I indicated earlier on that all your sister organizations which asked me to talk, I said, Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo doesn't have to open his mouth yet. And he has to open his mouth only when he has done what is called quiet diplomacy. I hope you're understanding me. Don't misquote me. Quiet diplomacy is when you call quietly, it doesn't come to the public notice. You call quietly, you find out, you talk to your counterpart.
Okay.
Buhari could have had Buhari what to do. That one doesn't come into the public domain.
Right, Doc, thank you.
And that is exactly what he did.
Okay.
So even on the very day that I spoke, you saw that he said, I have spoken to President Buhari already. And then he called for calm. That is what everybody must do. And that is what Buhari is asking people to do. Get the facts. Talk to me before you talk. That's all I'm saying. That is the rule of international policy, international diplomacy.
Well said. Thank you very much, Doc, for joining us on MX24 News. That was Dr. Vladimir Chidanso, who is an international relations expert. Now let's bring it back home. Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah has revealed that residents of the Ashanti region will soon feel the presence of heavy security personnel. The minister indicated that the move by the Regional Security Council is part of measures to ensure sanity in the region before, during and after the 2020 general elections. Joining us is our Ashanti Regional Correspondent Jonathan Akuma with some updates. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us on MX24 News. Jonathan, what can you report at the moment in Kumasi?
Yes, so the Regional Security Council, together with leadership of the security forces, today embarked on a walk to reaffirm and reassure members or residents in the region of their readiness to provide and improve security in the region before, during, and after the election. It also comes on the back of the growing spate of violent crimes in the region. Remember, the region has been experiencing armed robbery and, in some cases, murder incidents. And so the Regional Security Council, as part of measures to improve the security in the Ashanti region, especially in the capital, deployed their men who went through the principal streets of Kumasi to assure residents of their readiness ahead of the election.
So military men have not been released onto the streets yet?
Not that I know of. Regarding the crimes that has been happening, especially in the capital, the Ashanti Regional Police Commander says they are on top of their game and that they will be rolling out very soon the strategies they will be putting in place to manage such crimes. And he says a press conference will be held later next week to address these concerns.
Right. Jonathan, and one more. How are the residents receiving the matter? Has this come as good news for them?
I must say it has been mixed reactions, I must indicate. While some are saying that they are worried about the increasing crimes going into the election, others trust in the police and the other security forces of doing a thorough job.
Right. All right. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for joining us And Jonathan is our Ashanti regional correspondent. Moving on, 22 people, including a 1.5-year-old girl, have been confirmed dead in the Achimba-Tebi 4-story church building collapse. The building collapsed on about 40 worshippers of the Church of Prosperity on Tuesday. A state rescue team has since been working 24 hours every day to retrieve trapped persons from the giant rubble. Deputy Eastern Regional Police Public Relations Officer Sergeant Francis Gomado has been telling journalists the owner of the church building, Prophet Akwa Isaac, has been arrested to aid in police investigations, but he is now on police enquiry bail.
Because he's indisposed. We had this information that it was as a result of his ill health that the church members on that fateful day gathered to do some kind of prayer and fasting for him before the unfortunate incident happened. So he's been arrested and a statement taken from him, and as we speak, he's on a police inquiry bill to be reporting to assist the police investigation. As of this morning, we are counting 22, including a 1.5-year-old baby as well. The men who are on the rescue mission, made up of the NADMO, the police, the military, and other critical stakeholders are still on the ground.
Now, former President John Dramani Mahama has promised to grant amnesty to Galamsey operators. That and more coming up after this break. Stay with us.
Shop online, get free swipes, and enjoy greater security with a card that turns banking on its head. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
Hi, my name is Alamatu. Yes, these are both me. You see, before free SHS, my life could have taken two very different paths. The SHS path depended on how much money my parents had, what sacrifices they were willing to make, and whether they would send me or my little brother Issa to SHS. The other part is what would have become of me if there was no free SHS. But today, thanks to free SHS, my future is bright and promising.
Congratulations, you have an A. He's a boy.
Instead of depending on others, I will stand on my own feet and help my family. Free SHS is where my dreams for a better future and the dreams of thousands of young girls become a reality. Don't let NDC take it away from us. Vote for NPP and give all Ghanaian girls a chance for a better future.
They'll go with the 4-4-2 diamond formation for that early lead.
An early goal will settle the nerves.
Their away team has been in bad form. They will feel the pressure.
The home sides kept 2 clean sheets in a row.
It's all about momentum.
Who will have the stamina to last the 90 minutes?
Their star striker is suspended.
They've got no kappa.
The marking will be tight.
This will be won or lost in the midfield.
This is why I bet.
This is why I bet.
This is why I bet. Betway, for the love of the game.
Whoever made that choice of Nana Okuku-Agyeman was a master politician. In politics, you are very careful in determining who you select. Particularly, you look at who cannot be attacked. Sometimes, because they want to escape strict accountability and strict proof, they rush to implement manifesto contents. Even though not all.
Free SHS in this context?
It's not about ticking the box to say that I said I'll do it and I've done it, okay?
Let's go to the Universities Bill, for instance. You are faced with the choice of 2 political parties, one saying, listen, this is what we are doing. We are going to implement so and so. If you have challenges, yeah, we'll try and work around it, but this is it, it's going to happen. There's another saying, no, it shouldn't happen, there's no problem. So what mischief are you trying to cure? Which you appear to be subscribing to. Now, is that to suggest the teachers may be more aligned towards the NDC this time around based on that?
I don't think so. These are very independent-minded people. Those who tried it, I teach them. Okay, the tricks in trying to silence and gag people, we teach those things.
Let's look at your wife. when the news broke, what was her first question to you? What did she ask you?
She said she knew I wouldn't do that, and that it was God's own doing of drawing me much closer to himself.
Welcome back to MX24 News live from the Silicon Square here in East Legon. My name is Godwin Nambo. Remember, we're also streaming live on Facebook at MX24GH. Let's move on. Now, former President John Dramani Mahama has promised to grant amnesty to Galamsey operators who were imprisoned under the Akufo-Addo-led government at the peak of the Galamsey fight should he win the December 7 polls. Addressing the chiefs and people of Odum Bansu in the Western region, the NDC flag bearer accused government of releasing a foreigner who was engaged in the same illegal activity without prosecution or fine, but sentenced its own people. Now, according to the former president, he will get them back to the fields to work in a more controlled environment, as captured in the NDC's manifesto.
It's sad. The government said it was fighting Galamsey, and they arrested, prosecuted and jailed some Ghanaians who were engaged in that activity, but left the Chinese woman. Today, they are still in prison. That Chinese Galamsey queen was arrested, but left to go free. She was never prosecuted, but our people are suffering in jail. When we come, we shall grant all those arrested and jailed some amnesty. They will come back to their homes and work. I believe that they have suffered enough, shown remorse for whatever wrong they committed. We will institute measures to check on the operations of small-scale mining, and this shall address all those issues that riddled the sector in years past.
Now we have another chance. If we say you be yes, ebema enyoma ayeyi.
Our government is dismissing claims by the minority in parliament of corruption and profiteering in the award of 2 contracts during the COVID-19 era. The opposition MPs at a media briefing in parliament yesterday demanded accountability of every peso spent during the pandemic and accused the Akufo-Addo-led government of awarding the said contracts to its cronies without recourse to an open and transparent selection. But speaking to MX24 News, a Deputy Information Minister, Pius Enam Hajide, rejected the accusations from the group.
We have rehearsed a few of the things that have been addressed already, and they spoke, for instance, of the fact that there is a company that is supposed to be doing testing at but that company, the test is being conducted by Noguchi. But that has been answered, and they have been told that that is fabrication. It's not correct. In fact, Noguchi does the molecular test, what you call the PCR. What is happening at the Tuka International Airport are the antigen tests. And so it is not Noguchi that is conducting these searches, these tests. And this company was properly acquired, if you may, by the Ghana Airport Company to conduct these tests so as to limit importation into the jurisdiction. But they have rehearsed that, and they have brought that.
Moving on, with less than 45 days for Ghanaians to go to the polls, former President John Dramani Mahama has said his motivation to take back the seat of government is hinged on the millions of unemployed youths across the country. Touting his 1 million jobs agenda, the flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress said, among other things, small and medium enterprises will enjoy tax waivers to enable them expand and solve partly the challenge of accessing credit. Mr. Mahama also expressed his willingness to replicate factories like Bensu Oil Palm Plantation that has employed over 1,700 residents in the Western region.
To help the people. When you go on these stores, and especially with the kind of tour we're doing, we're going right down to the communities and they're beginning to identify what the real issues are. You go, they have a clinic, the population has increased, they need a polyclinic or a bigger clinic. You go, they don't have a school, they have to travel, to attend school and all that. You go, they probably don't have clean drinking water.
That was former President John Dramani Mahama talking about jobs and the universities bill. Moving on, hundreds of mourners from all walks of life this morning thronged the forecourt of the State House to bid farewell to the chairperson of the Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral Project, Most Reverend Dr. Samuel Asante Antwi, as he was laid to rest. Dr. Asante Antwi, who was also a founding member of the governing New Patriotic Party, passed on last month after a short illness at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Here are some experts of the burial service earlier today.
Dr. Asante Antwi acquitted himself very well in this role and worked diligently to spearhead the growth of the section, and soon the Gumua Pinanko Circuit attained a full-fledged circuit status of the Methodist Church Ghana. Work won the admiration of all and sundry, and he was thus appointed the Assistant Senior Secretary in the then Winneba District of the Methodist Church Ghana. Most Reverend Dr. Asante Antwi was ordained in August 1972 during the conference of the Methodist Church Ghana. While serving in the Pinanko Circuit, Sopho Asante Antwi took on part-time teaching at the Apam Secondary School.
At this time of great pain and loss, the New Patriotic Party expresses our deepest condolences to Asante Antwi's wife, children, family, and to the Methodist Church in particular. He was a church pastor and a politician, and he excelled in both. The New Patriotic Party was lucky to have him in our corner as a friend and a loyalist, not as an adversary.
Dada was courageous, bold, daring to say the least, never afraid to disrupt the status quo, as what we termed as normal was not normal to him. We oftentimes teased and asked him whether he was a politician, consultant, or a priest.
And now let's end this morning's bulletin with international news. U.S. President Donald Trump and Democratic Party candidate Joe Biden went head-to-head on various topics, including Obamacare, COVID-19, immigration, and foreign policy. In the grand finale of the U.S. presidential debates last night, Trump was rather calm, focused, and less interruptive as many unexpected. Biden equally had his moments and called out Trump on different issues, especially with government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Here are some excerpts.
He has no clear plan, and there's no prospect that there's going to be a vaccine available for the majority of the American people before the middle of next year.
Every single move that he said we should make, that's what we've done. We've done all of it. But he was way behind us.
He says that we're learning to live with it. People are learning to die with it. You folks home will have an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. That man or wife going to bed tonight and reaching over to try to touch their, out of habit, where their wife or husband was, is gone. Learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying with it. And I don't look at this in terms of the way he does. Blue states and red states. They're all the United States.
They went through everything.